You can't go changing the rules.
That's Joe.
Let him speak his mind. That's when you learn about people is when they're drunk. And then you realize who you're hired.
And that's Eric.
I was thinking about this earlier today, and I have to bring it up.
And they're two guys with two mics and one off-the-rails sports podcast.
Like, if you're older than 11 years old, unless you have body paint on or something, you're not warranted to go nuts on the jumbo
No,
field.
of course not.
Kick back and relax, because you're in the wheelhouse.
And here we go, another episode of In the Wheelhouse with Eric and Joe on a rainy day in Southern California. I'm Eric. With me, always, my co-host, Joe Hill. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, Eric. Just trying to stay as dry as I can. I went out this morning to get a bagel for breakfast and saw it was raining. Didn't really know how to comprehend it. And went outside in flip-flops and shorts and a tank top and got all wet. So I'm inside now and just trying to stay as dry as I can.
Isn't it funny, dude? Because I was in the kind of the same situation. I went out and got like coffee this morning, and I put on a pair of sandals and a sweatshirt. And it's when rain comes from the sky in Southern California, people aren't really adapt or equipped to deal with it. I don't own a pair of sweats.
I just figured it's like the ocean, so I could wear sandals outside.
Yeah,
it's like the beach. God brought the beach to us.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you don't have to be on the beach. Inland, you can experience the beach too. I'll bring it to you. But that's probably why I'm dealing with this cold that I've been fighting for the last 3 days. I feel like I have a plug in my nose right now because of the fact I wear sandals out when it's raining.
But it feels so good, though, when you jump out of the car and your feet get a little bit wet. Feels like you're in like a tropical island somewhere.
The problem with the rain, though, is I live in the valley, right? And I live at the bottom of the valley, so it floods like crazy. If it rains for like a prolonged amount of time, like my car today was in about 6 inches of water just because I'm at the bottom of the valley.
Oh, so if it rains for like 5 minutes, you're like house is underwater.
Oh, dude, it sucks. It sucks.
Oh,
it's
God,
awful.
That's terrible. That's terrible. God. But enough about the weather. We're not meteorologists or anything like that. We are sports enthusiasts. So let's talk a little about sports. And off the top, hot off the press, just dropping on ESPN about 5 minutes ago, Johnny Manziel working out at USD, throwing for 13 NFL teams. Is Johnny football coming back to the NFL?
I think okay. So here's the thing. I was one of the few, or not the few. I say the few, but I was one of the many that was on the Johnny Manziel will never play in the NFL again, right? Because he's the party animal. I thought he couldn't get out of the downward spiral that he was in. I was like, he's the party animal. He loves the life. He loves the party life too much to give it up, right? But he's done this whole kind of comeback season, revive his image, gone to rehab, done the whole. Fix his image tour. You know, he's done the media availability, did the interview, talked about how he's turned a new leaf, trying to fix his life. And this is the first hurdle of a lot of hurdles that it's going to take to get him back to the NFL. I know he's actually under contract with a team in the CFL, but there is an out clause where if an NFL team signs him, he can go play in the NFL. But so this is the first hurdle. If he still has it, dude, what's going to keep him? He's obviously good enough to play in the NFL because he's already been there. You know, talent doesn't disappear.
Yeah, but when he was in the NFL, he didn't do anything. He absolutely did nothing. Did he win a game?
Yeah,
maybe one.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was the last QB to win a game for the Cleveland Browns.
Okay, well, so
the talent's there, but I mean, it's just going to be will it be willing to take out a flyer and deal with the Johnny Manziel media storm?
My question is, what happens to his contract that he had with the Cleveland Browns? Is it just null and void? Did they released him, right?
Yeah, they released him. So
okay,
it's pretty much out the window, through the shredder, nothing going on with that anymore.
So I'm looking at the teams right now that were at Johnny Manziel's workout. And to just go down the list, Cleveland Browns, New England Patriots, Chicago Bears, Chargers, New York Giants, Kansas City Chiefs, New York Jets, Oakland Raiders, Tennessee Titans, Detroit Lions, Jacksonville Jaguars, Carolina Panthers, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Out of all those teams, most of them are going to be needing a quarterback here pretty quickly. I mean, I don't think Tampa needs a quarterback. I don't think Carolina needs a quarterback. Jacksonville can use an upgrade. Detroit will probably need one in maybe 7 years. Tennessee's okay. Oakland's okay.
All teams,
Jets,
though, that need a serviceable backup.
Yep. Jets need a quarterback. Chiefs could definitely use a backup quarterback. And, well, he could compete with Mahomes probably. Giants will be looking to replace Eli pretty soon. Chargers will be looking to replace Phillip pretty soon. Bears, that's a wide open game for anybody. Trubisky, I mean, and then the Patriots are going to be looking to replace Tom Brady here in the next few years as well.
Could you imagine Johnny Manziel going into the Patriot system?
Oh my goodness! Can you imagine?
What a story that would be, dude.
Bill Belichick
Bill Belichick flips Johnny Manziel and turns him into an elite QB, straight edge, perfect kid now.
If Bill Belichick wasn't already known as the greatest of all time, he would go down as the greatest of all time, no matter what.
If there was one coach that would be no doubt 100% be able to flip Johnny Manziel away from the party boy mentality into a career franchise QB, Bill Belichick, of course. It's too easy. 30 for 30, Bill Belichick turns Johnny Manziel into the next Tom Brady.
Yeah, that is definitely the making of a 30 for 30. But this is one heck of a story, sports fans. We're going to be following it from now until we hear something else and it ends. But Johnny Manziel trying out for NFL teams once again. And the very first line of the story is, Johnny Manziel has to show that he's a changed man. And I think that right there is the main factor of him making it back to the NFL.
Yeah, definitely. Because that's the thing. Teams are there to see if he can still throw the ball. He threw the ball. Like we said, he was a starter in the NFL. He won the Heisman. The talent's obviously there. It's going to be whether or not, hey, are you going to be a head case and flying to Vegas the day before a rehab assignment and not coming and showing up at the facilities the next morning? Or are you going to be a new man and put football first and put all the drinking and partying in the back burner?
Yeah, absolutely. That is the big question. That is absolutely the big question. From the way, there's one picture here. There is a video here, and I've yet to watch it, and I will watch it here in the next couple hours after we're done here. But there's a picture of him here, and just based on the picture, it looks like it doesn't look like a party animal anymore. It looks like, like a party animal, like their skin's kind of like pale. It looks like they've been dragged through the freaking swamp a few times. Like he looks put together.
There was some times when he was out down in where he was the TMZ Johnny Manziel, could name him. He looked out of shape.
No, for sure.
He had the party gut. He had the beer belly going on. So it's like if he's already showing up at this throwing availability in shape, that's the first okay, I'm taking this seriously. I wasn't out at the bar last night,
For sure, and just based on the story, it looks like he has been working out with a throwing coach here in San Diego for a while now, and it looks like he's making an actual push to get back in the NFL. So
do you think
big story?
Do you think he gets in there, or do you think he falls short? Do you think he's on? Do you think he's on an NFL roster this season, or do you think he's on an NFL roster later?
My gut is telling me that he will be on an NFL roster this season, but not to begin the season. It's going to take someone that going down.
Like a practice squad kind of thing, or do you think he
gets
someone gets hurt later?
Someone gets hurt later, and then he gets brought on to fill a spot, and then he'll have to work his way back up to backup or starter. I don't think he ever makes it back to a starting spot. I think he becomes a lifelong backup quarterback, a la Case Keenum, a la Nick Foles, that type of role.
Dude, could you imagine the media storm that's going to come if Johnny Manziel gets signed to an NFL contract and Colin Kaepernick still isn't?
Oh my goodness, it would be a liberal nightmare.
Dude, oh gosh, that's going to be just throw gasoline on the fire, on the embers, because for the most part, it's done. The story's gone. He might come back every now and then. A video came up of him throwing to wide receivers at some practice facility somewhere. It's like, yeah, he still has it, but then so it's like, oh, why isn't he in the NFL? But if Johnny Manziel were to get signed to an NFL contract and Colin Kaepernick is still unemployed,
you want to know what the biggest hit on Colin Kaepernick was, why he's not still employed by an NFL team, is Jimmy Garoppolo going into San Francisco and winning 5 games in a row when Colin Kaepernick couldn't do jack crap with San Francisco. That shows the NFL that team wasn't just a bunk team, and Colin Kaepernick was on a bunk team like the Browns. That shows them that Colin Kaepernick was a unable quarterback to win on that team, and obviously Jimmy Garoppolo could. I think that was a huge hit for Colin Kaepernick. Aside from all the other political stuff,
I really can't. I can't go through another Colin Kaepernick media storm, dude. I'm so over that story.
Yeah, it's definitely run its route, and it should be done with by now. But then you see all these videos of Colin Kaepernick out there with his fro, throwing to these receivers, saying he deserves to be on a team, this and that. It's like, shut up.
Do you think it's hard to put a helmet on with an afro?
Probably.
Gotta be tough, right?
Probably I got to get a big helmet.
Yeah. I don't want to go too far into that because we could probably say something and like get in trouble. So I'm just. It's probably you got to wear at least 2 sizes bigger, right?
I'm imagine so. I mean, I just got a haircut yesterday, and my hats fit insanely better.
Isn't that crazy?
I love that.
A little
feeling.
haircut, a little like buzz it a little off the top, and then you put on your hat. It feels like a brand new hat.
It really does.
Head breathes a little bit better.
Aside from Johnny Manziel and Colin Kaepernick and the insane stories surrounding these quarterbacks, the biggest thing going on in sports right now
The madness
is the March Madness NCAA basketball tournament. And March Madness is an understatement for how this tournament is going. The first ever number 1 seed gets knocked, or the first time a number 1 seed has ever gotten knocked out in the first round happened. Upset after upset, buzzer beaters here and there. Insane March Madness.
9 lower seeded or higher seeded. Would it be higher seeded or lower seeded?
Lower seeded.
Lower seeded, but with a higher number. Well, I guess whatever.
Yeah.
9 underdogs. We'll go 9 underdogs.
There you go.
Upset favorites in the opening round this year.
Yeah,
9 of them.
absolutely crazy.
A 16 UMBC over Virginia. In the next round, Xavier was upset by Florida State. A number 9 seed and number 1 seed went down. It's been absolute
Arizona.
madness.
Arizona lost in the first round, who a lot of people predicted to go to the finals, or at least the Elite Eight. You predicted them to win the whole
People
thing.
People can't see me right now, but I'm raising my hand. Yes, my bracket was busted on the Thursday, the first day of the tournament.
If your bracket isn't busted already, come talk to me, and I want you to pick out some lottery numbers for me because you can predict the future.
If their bracket isn't busted, they have to have taken like a Villanova, a Purdue.
I have Villanova winning
maybe
it all.
Michigan.
I have Villanova winning it all, but I had them going up against North Carolina, and they got stomped on by Texas A&M. Absolutely stomped.
Yeah, they got blown out. And that's the thing, too. A couple of these, North Carolina, blown out of the water. Arizona, blown out of the water. Virginia, the number 1 seed of the tournament, the favorite to win the entire thing, blown out of the water by a number 16.
20. By 20 points, they got blown out by UMBC. Insane.
Do you know what UMBC
insane.
stands for?
University of Maryland, Baltimore County.
So, like, what is that, a junior college? Baltimore County?
It looked like a bunch of junior college players playing out there, too.
The Retrievers. The UMBC Retrievers.
What's their point guard's name? Maurer or something like that?
I don't even know, man. He was tiny.
He looks like a Hispanic version of what's the guy's name from Oklahoma?
Trae Young?
Trae Young.
Trae Young. Dude, another team that just was supposed to do something and they were awful. Oklahoma, Trae Young, ugh. And he's going to go to the NBA.
Trae Young played good, too.
I think he's going to get eaten alive in the NBA, dude.
I don't think so. I think he's good. I think he's okay. Give him like 2 years. He's got ball handling skills. He's got shot. He sees the court well. He's going to do okay.
He's a victim. His Oklahoma losing was a victim of him going for the hero ball that has taken over basketball lately. Remember those 2 threes he took in overtime? Just awful, dude.
Yeah, they were, but he got them to overtime.
Yeah,
though.
he did. Yeah, he took over the last like 5 minutes of the second half. But I don't know. He's just I just don't. I'm a big like body kind of build, and he just looks like he's gonna get beat up in the NBA.
People said the same thing about Steph Curry.
I mean, look how long it took Steph Curry to develop, though. Like it's a
couple years.
I know, but I feel like the Steph Curry development's like a one in a lifetime kind of thing. It takes a lot of things to fall in line for Steph Curry to develop like that, I feel. And it's going to take a lot for like Trae Young.
I hear you. I definitely hear you. He was he's definitely going to the NBA. There's no doubt about that.
Oh yeah, he already declared yesterday that he's leaving.
Yeah. But watching that game and seeing, you're right. In overtime, he kind of took that hero role and kind of imploded on him. But seeing him will himself to get Oklahoma to overtime in the first place, it was impressive. It was very impressive to watch him play.
Yeah, in the second half, I was like, because I took Oklahoma to win that game, I was drinking the Kool-Aid. Who'd they play? Rhode Island. But when he did take over in the second half, I was like, oh crap. And then Rhode Island missed that last second shot, bounce on the rim.
Yeah.
To extend it to overtime. And at that point, I'm like, well, Oklahoma's going to lose because there's no way a team can witness that and then rebound from that.
Yeah, absolutely agree with you. You wanted to touch on something, though, about the NCAA tournament that has definitely plagued Houston.
Dude, okay, so
let's talk about it.
There is no bigger moment in sports than a college kid on the free throw line late in the NCAA tournament. Houston fell victim to it. All he had to do was make one free throw in order to put them up by 3 and take the win off the table. Instead, he clanks 2. Michigan grabs the ball, runs down the court, throws up a Hail Mary, corner 3, or not a corner, but a 3, and wins the game. A deep 3. There was 3 seconds left on the clock. So, 2 passes down the court, throws up the 3, wins the game. He just needed one free throw to take the win off the table for Michigan. One freshman
free throw. Did it too. That was a freshman. That did it too.
And it's happened throughout the entire course of the tournament, and it happened years before that. Kids on the free throw line late in college basketball games is the most dramatic moment in sports, dude, because you could just tell. And then that's why is
that more dramatic, or a kicker lining up to kick a game-winning field goal in the playoffs? Because that's dramatic as well. Those are both like gut-wrenching times where it's like points right in front of a player, points right in front of them, and they just have to do what they've been doing all season.
I'm going to go free throws. I'm going free throws because it's closer, and they're kids. So there's a lot. I feel like there's a lot more of like variables. Like I think the fact that they're just college kids takes it to a whole nother level. Like they haven't been doing it for years. They're not a professional.
Okay, what about college kickers?
college clickers, yeah. I mean, we saw was it Georgia? Who did Georgia play? Oklahoma was decided because of a missed field goal in overtime, wasn't it?
Oh, what about that game of Alabama Auburn? 4 years ago when?
Oh, the Iron Bowl. Auburn's going to win the football game. The kick 6.
Oh my God, it's amazing.
I love that call. Every time I see that come up on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, I'll watch it like 4 or 5 times.
I was at Dick's Sporting Goods watching it with a group of people, and when that happened, every single person in that store was going nuts. No one likes to see Alabama win. Nobody does, except people that live in Alabama.
And even that, there's plenty of Auburn fans in Alabama that hate Alabama. So
that's true. That's true.
But no, I love it. I love the drama of a college kid on the free throw line late, man. Like, because that's the thing in the NBA, the whole hack-a-shack strategy, where you start giving people fouls in hopes so they miss free throws in order to slowly chip away at the lead in a couple minutes. In the NBA, for the most part, they're gonna make their free throws.
Yeah.
But in college, dude, they could clank too, and the strategy can completely work, as we saw what happened in Houston, Michigan, and several other games in the first couple rounds of the tournament this year.
Yeah, I actually think it's happened when in one of the Loyola wins as well. I think one of the players missed a free throw, a very important free throw, late in the game, and Loyola Chicago went and hit a game-winning shot. Loyola Chicago's hit 2. Well, their first game was the buzzer beater. Their second game, they made that clutch shot with like a second left. They're an 11 seed. They're in the Sweet 16 because of 2 basically buzzer beaters.
Yeah, the March Madness NCAA tournament, dude, just doesn't make sense to me. Like every year, there's never a down year. There's never a year where it's like, okay, this, it's quiet. It's every year. That's why they call it the Madness. There's upsets. No other playoffs has this much drama, I feel.
There isn't. Absolutely none. And before we get into our next segment, I know we're going there. I know we're kind of transitioning. One team I want to talk about and give a kind of a quick shout out to that's still in the tournament is Nevada. Holy cow. They were down to Cincinnati by 22 in the second half. By 22. And came back to win dramatic fashion against Cincinnati. And they're going up against Chicago Loyola. That right there is kind of like kind of under the radar Cinderella story teams right there.
Guess who had Cincinnati winning that game and going to the Elite Eight? For those who can't see me again, me raising my hand. Dude, honestly, this year, my bracket...
I had Cincinnati going to the Elite Eight,
my
too.
bracket, dude, has been effed.
Yeah, it's...
Effed. I haven't seen this much red on a piece of paper since I took, algebra class. Dude, it's so bad. I've gotten... Every day, I'm just like... And it's not even just where you cross out one team. It's like, team, next round, next round, next round. Jeez, man. I've taken so many hits.
One half of my bracket, it's all red, and then the other half of my bracket, it's all green. Because on two of my brackets, I've gotten almost every pick right, and on the other half of my bracket, I've gotten almost everything wrong. It's crazy. Right now, tonight's game, there's 4 games tonight. Here's the seeds. An 11 versus a 7. This is the Sweet 16. This isn't the opening round. An 11 versus 7. A 7 versus a 3. A 9 versus a 5. And a 9 versus a 4. No 1s, no 2s. Insane. Is this your favorite form of transition? Is this your favorite form of playoffs?
Oh, this is my sport. This is probably by far my favorite playoff format. I mean, because the format's pretty much the same, the seeding kind of aspect of it, but March Madness is by far my favorite sports playoffs, without a doubt. Because I love the fact that it starts on for the first 2 weeks at least. It starts on Thursday, runs through Sunday.
Right.
The opening round, dude. I've watched college basketball 4 days in a row from 9 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. every day.
You and me both. And I hardly ever watch college basketball during the year. Hardly ever. And I watched college basketball 4 days straight, all day.
And college basketball has figured out a way to make it the most digestible for all of their fans. They have the game staggered, so one game ends, you flip a channel to get to the next game, and then that game's in, you flip a channel, and you catch the last 10 minutes or so of every game. Every game's televised.
It's perfect. It's the way they have it set up is perfect. Absolutely perfect. The only one thing that I don't like about the NCAA tournament is the fact that those playing games, those last 4 playing games, that all those aren't for the last 16 seed. I wish those were, because there's an 11 seed. I think there's 2 11 seeds and 2 16 seeds.
Yeah, UCLA ended up going in as an 11. And then
with
who else
St. Bonaventure.
Yeah, and then
they played St.
Did UMBC get in as a first 4?
I don't think so.
Because
because they won their division. It's
right.
all at bubble teams.
Yeah. So it's weird. That is weird how you can play into the tournament and go in as a middle of the pack team. Kind of
right.
Definitely weird.
It's because all those guaranteed bids for all those kind of lower tier divisions. They're guaranteed a spot, but are they necessarily better than one of these bubble teams who didn't win their division type of thing?
Yeah,
I don't like that. I think all those 4 last playing games should be 16 seeds just because they're fighting to get in. That's the last spot. That's really the only thing I don't like about the NCAA tournament. Other than that, the drama, the upsets, the blowouts, the close games, I love NCAA March Madness.
Yeah, March Madness, by far better than the NBA playoffs. The NBA playoffs in the first couple rounds, you have blowouts, you have teams getting swept. I could care less about the first couple rounds of the NBA playoffs. The first day of NCAA March Madness, I'm locked in because of the fact that there could be a buzzer beater. 2 years ago, Michigan State got upset by Middle Tennessee. This year, number 1 seed goes down. Every year, there's a team. Lehigh beat Duke a few years back. Every year, there's some big heavyweight team going down. NBA, not heard of. No. NHL, there's a little bit of drama in the opening rounds. NFL, the wild card games can be just as dramatic, but NCAA March Madness has it down to a T.
Absolutely, and it being one and dones the whole time, it being so many rounds, it being so many teams that you wouldn't see go up against each other in the regular season, NCAA, don't change a thing. But going to the 4 major sports in professional sports in the United States, baseball, football, basketball, hockey. If we're to rank those 4, basketball is my last. Basketball is my number 4. Just because, like you said, the first few rounds, they don't mean anything. There's no drama. There's nothing.
I'm barely checked in until the finals.
Me too. And even the conference finals, I'm not even watching that much. It's the finals, and that's pretty much it. NFL, I do like the fact that NFL is one and done. And that puts a lot of drama on one game, which I like a lot. It's huge to me.
A lot of pressure, little rooms for mistake. 7-game series, you have a window. You can rebound the next game. One and done brings a whole nother level to any kind of playoff format.
Right. NHL is just, there's really nothing like the NHL playoffs, just because there's so much intensity from the start, from the first puck drop to the final Stanley Cup whistle. There's so much drama in the NHL, so much intensity. I love NHL playoffs. Baseball, I love baseball. It starts off good, and then it kind of drops down, then picks right back up really fast. With the wild card games, kind of the same thing. One and done. A lot of pressure on those games. Very little room for error. Every single pitch is watched. Every single pitch is taken seriously. And then it kind of drops down for the division series because it's a 5-game series. Some upsets, don't get me wrong. I'm watching them. I'm watching every single second of it, but definitely not as exciting as an NFL playoff game or NFL wildcard game. Excuse me. But then it picks up for the championship series and the World Series. Those are incredibly intense. Every single pitch is watched. Every single mistake is exaggerated and overblown. So if we're to rank the 4, NBA is number 4 for me. I'd say NFL 2 or 3, baseball 2, and NHL 1.
Yeah, I'm pretty similar. I'm going NBA 4, MLB, NFL, probably a 2-3 flop, 2A, 2B, and then 1. Dude, there's no. And the only thing that I could think of that rivals March Madness, the craziness of it, is overtime of an NHL hockey game in the playoffs.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Absolutely.
I was watching a play of a Blues beating the Kings a couple years back in a 1-0 overtime game. A 1-0 overtime game. And I watched they quick misplayed a puck, wraparound goal, and you could just hear it, dude. You could feel it coming through the computer. Like there's a different level of celebration and intensity of an overtime winning goal in the playoffs, dude. And the fact that one mishap, next shot could win the game, could send your team to the next round, could eliminate a team. That's the only thing that I could think of that gets close to rivaling the craziness of a March Madness. Like the buzzer beaters last year, or the last couple of years, North Carolina winning and Villanova winning. Like, that's the only thing I can think of that gets close enough. A rush down the court, last-second 3 to win the game, to win the national title. The only thing that I think gets even close to rivaling. Rivaling. Is that even a word?
Yeah, rivaling.
Rivaling a overtime game in the Stanley Cup playoffs.
See, I put NHL overtime in the playoffs above that, because what NBA, NCAA overtimes, what they don't have that the NHL has is sudden death. It's one goal in overtime, and it being sudden death, that it ends the game right then and there. That's what gets me.
And the thing is, too, dude, is this is a lot of things. Well, like a lot of people that I talk to that like hockey, that come over to hockey from other sports, is the flow of hockey. You could be playing in the overtime for 5-6 minutes without a whistle, dude, and you're just sitting there like, oh my gosh, what is going on? Like, you feel aging, like you're aging as this game is going on. Like, you're so stressed out because when was the last time you could even get up and go get a beer or even just get up and take a breath? Because there's no whistle. If there's no whistle, there's no chance for you to even just comprehend what's going on. Basketball, there's whistles, sub in, sub out. But for hockey, you could be sitting locked in on a game for 5-6 minutes at a time without even being able to take a breath.
And not even realizing how much time went by in the first place. You look up, you're like, oh, it's been like a minute. And it's been 11 minutes.
And then, dude, let alone when you get to like 2-3 overtimes in the playoffs, God, hell no, heart attack city, dude.
I'll tell you how stressed out I get. On this the last time the Kings won the Stanley Cup and Alec Martinez scored that game-winning goal.
Yeah, against the Rangers.
I got up. So Kings playoff hockey, I don't know why, it's like the one playoff where I'm like screaming. Like they score a goal, I'm like yelling at the top of my lungs. I don't do that for baseball. I don't do that for football. I don't do that for pretty much any other sport. I mean, I cheer, but I'm not screaming at the top of my lungs. When Alec Martinez scored that goal, I jumped up and I screamed so loud and for so long that I fainted and fell onto the couch at my house and like woke up like a second later. I was like, I fainted.
I fainted. We have the cup. And then you faint again.
And just kind of this whole, you feel the pressure that these players are under. You feel it on your shoulders. Like you're like, oh no. You're stressing out just as much as the players are. And there's no other playoff system or sport that has that weight on you. And I think it's because of that sudden death aspect.
Yeah, one shot can change it. And that's the thing, dude. A dump in on net from the red line.
Right.
Like, Quick has gotten beat. Martin Brodeur has gotten beat from pucks on the other side of the red line.
I know.
Like, anything could totally swing the momentum of an entire playoff series. And NHL hockey, dude, overtime, playoffs, NHL hockey, there's very little. And, like, the March Madness, NHL hockey, playoffs, neck and neck for the best in the sports. For sure.
All right. So since we're talking about playoffs, we're talking about playoff formats, we're talking about NCAA tournament, NBA playoffs coming up, NHL playoffs coming up. I want both of us to give our top 3 favorite playoff moments, all sports, but it can't be like I'm glad the Kings won the Stanley Cup. Like, that's lame.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's got to be 3 singular plays that were just like, oh my God.
Okay, first thing that comes to my mind, outside of the Kings winning the 2 cups, obviously.
But it could be a play within those.
Yeah.
those.
Oh, yeah. Okay, well, here's my thing. Here's my one. Here's my first one. Brian Campbell destroying R.J. Umberger back in, what was it, like?
It was like 07, right?
07, 08 playoffs, Sabres, Philadelphia Flyers. Murdered him.
I remember that happening. And me and my little brother texting you and your brother like pretty much immediately. We're like, "Oh my God, did you just see that hit? Oh my God!"
This was back when NBC Sports Network was like, was it Versus or OLN or something?
It was
like
Versus.
Way back. But the Sabres still had the black and red and gray jerseys.
Yeah.
And Umberger came up and got a buddy pass, and Brian Campbell destroyed him.
Yeah, and the call was like, "This is like Campbell just destroyed Umberger."
Yep, exactly, to a T. And then they zoom in on Umberger, and he has this like gaze look through the ceiling, and you see him come back to life, like,
yeah. It's like watching like a UFC fighter get knocked out, like out cold. It was amazing.
So one of the biggest hits I've ever witnessed live, or not like in person, but like actually watching the game. My gosh, I get chills thinking about it.
Yeah, me too. That was crazy. One play that just comes to mind right now, it's not necessarily my favorite. I think it's like one of the most intense, like crazy, like, oh my God, is when Cleveland played the Cubs in the World Series. That's 2 years ago, right? Or was it last year? I think it was last. Was it last? The Cubs won the World Series last year or 2 years ago?
2 years ago.
Who won the World Series last? Oh yeah,
come on,
Dodgers
man.
won the World Series.
Yeah, Houston Astros. Don't worry, man. I blocked it out too. I don't remember it either.
So when the Cubs won the World Series, and it was the bottom of the ninth. No, it was bottom of the eighth. Excuse me. And they Cubs had already brought in Aroldis Chapman, and Rajai Davis comes in to pinch hit and goes down 0-2 quick, works the count, and then hits that game-tying home run over the wall at Jacobs Field. Absolutely insane. Fans were going crazy. Probably one of the biggest home runs in playoff history, even though Cleveland didn't end up winning World Series.
That was such BS, man. Rajai Davis went from being the hero, and then God had to intervene and say the Cubs are going to win the World Series. That rain delay, dude, saved the Cubs.
Yo, absolutely. 100%.
100%. All of the momentum was on Cleveland's side after that. And then the stupid rain delay, just enough. And then, of course, I can't remember. What's the catcher's name, the old guy?
David Ross.
David Ross, and then, of course, after they win, it comes out, David Ross brought everybody in and brought him down, and so did, what was the older guy, outfielder, didn't really do much, traded for him.
Jason Hayward?
Jason Hayward. He's the guy in the group project that didn't do anything and then still got the A+ because he was part of the project. He did nothing in the playoffs for him.
No, he's the one that brings them all together, like right before they go on stage or right before they present. They're like, all right, guys, we got this. We went over our notes, and everyone's looking at me like, you didn't do a damn thing.
Were you even at any of our meetings? What the hell? But yeah, of course, Ross and Jason Hayward brought the team together. This is our time. Dude, without that rain delay, the Cubs are still the lovable losers.
I agree. 100% agree with you. But that's my number 3 right now.
That was a huge moment. I remember watching that too. Another one of my favorite playoff moments. Kike 3 home run game to put the Dodgers in the World Series last year.
Yeah, I knew
that was huge. That was huge. Honestly, dude, I remember being at work because going to that game, it's like, dude, we're so close. And by the 3rd home run, I'm just like, this is total euphoria. Like, what the hell is even happening? And of all the players, not Bellinger, not Corey, not Turner, Kike, Enrique Hernandez, the one hit 3 home runs and pushed the Dodgers into the World Series. Insane.
Yeah, up until a few years ago, that 3 home run game in the playoffs was kind of a very rare thing. And over the last 3 or 4 years, 3 or 4 people have done it. I think last year playoffs, both Jose Altuve did it, Kike did it, and I think that was it. But before that, I know
they said there's only been 10 players to do it.
Yeah, and 9 of those has happened in the last 5 years. Jose Altuve, Kike did it. Albert Pujols did it in Texas. Beltre did it that same exact series. Pablo Sandoval did it a couple years ago.
Pablo Sandoval.
They're happening now.
Yeah.
These numbers aren't from 1970s and 50s and 20s. They're happening now. But yeah, that was probably the surprise of the MLB playoffs was when Kike did that. Was when he hit his 3 home run game. Insane.
Okay, what's your next one?
I'm trying to think of my next one, and I'm debating between 2, but the one that I'm going to say right now is 2 playoffs ago in the NFL, Rodgers scrambles out of the pocket against the Cowboys.
And rips out the hearts of Cowboys.
Boom! To the tight end Rodgers and destroys the Cowboys season. And not only because I'm a Packers fan, because I hate the Cowboys so much, it was so awesome to see that. How do the Cowboys let him out of the pocket in that situation? Let alone, how do they let the tight end to be wide open like that? And then, how does the tight end tightrope walk the sideline? And then Mason Crosby comes out and boom!
Do you think Aaron Rodgers wakes up every day and thinks, how am I going to rip out the heart of Cowboys and the Cowboys Nation every morning?
I hope so.
He's done. He's beat the Cowboys several times, just in heartbreak fashion.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. You would be the same way if Tyrod Taylor would be doing that to the Patriots.
Hey, let's not get too crazy, all right?
So that's my number 2. That's my number 2.
Oh, man, there's so many. Okay, another one of my big moments that I always go back to, just Dustin Brown leveling Henrik Sedin against the Vancouver Canucks in the opening round of the 2012 playoffs. Mm-hmm. Total tide changer, momentum changer. And I just remember Sedin just basically crawling to the bench because he got hit right in front of their bench, demoralized them, and then the Kings go on this insane Cinderella run. opened like every series 3-0, road team 8 seed, first Stanley Cup victory. But that was one of the marquee moments of that playoff run was Dustin Brown annihilating Sedin on those sideboards, just destroying him.
I feel like that was like the momentum starter. Like Kings aren't there to mess around, and Dustin Brown being the captain at the time led them to their first Stanley Cup.
That one, that hit. There was
physicality.
A couple. There was an overtime win in that series where was it Justin Williams picked up the puck in the slot and just picked a corner from about the top of the circles. There was a couple big moments. Oh, I'm actually I googled it right now when I was talking. But yeah, no, there was a couple big moments. But that first series against the Canucks, dude, and we'd gotten eliminated by the Canucks. I think the year before that in about 5 games. Maybe in 2010 we got eliminated by the Sharks, and I think the year before that after that we got eliminated by the Canucks. So that was a huge win for us.
Embarrassing by the Canucks too. It was like they went up 3-0 and then we won Game 4, and then they smoked us in Game 5.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's another one of my big moments. Both 2 of my 3 are just huge hits. Shows what kind of person I am.
Okay, so my last one. All right, I'm gonna ask you a question, and you need to say if this is allowed or not.
Okay.
Does the World Baseball Classic count?
I mean,
it was the semifinals.
Yeah, it's a playoff. It's part of a playoff format of a professional sports team. I mean, no, Joe. No, okay.
All right, well, I'm going to say
of course it counts. Yeah, of course.
My number one all-time playoff moment was in the semifinals of this 2017
just anniversary just a couple days ago.
Just a few days ago. Adam Jones robbing the home run from Manny Machado. By far my favorite catch of all time. More than any Mike Trout catch, more than any Jim Edmonds catch, more than any catch, period. That Adam Jones catch ranks number 1 for me all time. Any catch, any playoff moment. I went insane, absolutely insane. Watching the USA team finally win the World Baseball Classic, and that being kind of like the catalyst that got them there, because that was a huge part of the game. Dominican Republic was getting the momentum. That would have made it a 4-3 game. USA was on the ropes, and Adam Jones pretty much saved their ass. And when the USA rose that trophy, I was like, finally, the USA sits on top of the baseball world.
How great is it that it was against Manny Machado too, a teammate of his? Like,
it was awesome,
dude. You think so? I don't know if they might have crossed paths after the game, like in the dugout or like back in the clubhouse area or whatever. But like they have to have talked about it, like during spring training or something. Like there's like,
oh, I'm sure Adam Jones still gives him like ish about it. Like, Manny, I'm going to rob your stuff, right? Like, I got you. Like, he's all
Manny,
over.
Don't test me. I'll go up. You already know I can do it.
Yeah, right. Does that rank for you up there at the top? Like of the catches, that for sure is my number 1.
Yeah, for catches definitely. See, for catches, I mean, I haven't been as deeply delved into baseball as you have, as long. But for catching, I was in attendance when Paul LaDuca slid into the dugout against I think it was the Giants.
Oh yeah, I remember that game.
I was at the Dodger game, when that happened. Me and my brother along the first base line, so we saw that live, pretty close to it, and that will forever probably be my top catch, just because I was there.
Yeah. I remember the night of Adam Jones' catch, too. I was texting you and your brother. I was like, let's go to this game. Like, let's drive down to San Diego right now and go. It was a bummer that I couldn't make it, and you made it to the finals and didn't even call me.
Yeah, I went to the finals. Sorry, man.
Didn't call me.
I let you down. I'm sorry, I know.
You did. We could have done a podcast from the stadium.
Coming to you live from the right field pavilion. Oh, my God, somebody's drunk and vomiting all over another person. There's who do they play? Who do they play? Costa Rica in the final?
No, Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico. Wrong, yeah. Rico.
That's kind of a different country too. Puerto Rico is a territory of the United States.
I'm so bad when it comes to like naming like baseball powerhouse countries. Like, this is gonna sound bad, but like Latin American countries. Dominican, what is it? So Dominican, Puerto
there's a
Rican.
few. There's Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, Venezuela's up there. Let's see. Yeah.
Where's Jonathan Scoop from? Scoop.
Curacao.
Okay. I always like that one.
That's a territory of the Netherlands, though.
Me and my buddy always have whenever we watch the Little League World Series, there's always a team from that represents that area.
Yeah.
And they're like, my name is, and my favorite player is Jonathan Scoop. Because he's the only MLB player from it.
Well, Andrelton Simmons is from there, too. And so is Jerickson Profar. They all play like on that team.
Well, there's my baseball knowledge.
What else is going on in sports? I know there's something you want to talk about.
Oh, how we reverse jinxed the San Antonio Spurs.
We sure did.
We were on last week and pretty much wrote their eulogy, engraved their headstone, wrote them off, said, hey, good luck in the offseason. You're not making the NBA playoffs this year. And since, they have rattled off 5 victories. Or maybe not since, but they haven't lost a game since we've said, hey, you're not winning any games, basically.
Yeah, what Eric's talking about, Spurs fans, if you listened last week, the Spurs were sitting in ninth place when we recorded. And we looked at their schedule, and it was pretty much a murderer's row schedule. It still is a murderer's row schedule. We wrote them off. We gave them no chance of making the NBA playoffs. Like Eric said, since then, they haven't lost a game.
Since then, they have beat the Pelicans, beat the Timberwolves, beat the Warriors, beat the Wizards.
Crazy run right now. And there was just reports that they had a team meeting begging for Kawhi Leonard to come back. And if Kawhi Leonard comes back and plays the way he knows how to play on a team that's already running with momentum, Spurs are a team not to be messed with.
I just don't get what's going on with this Kawhi Leonard thing, man.
I really don't either. I don't know what to make of it.
They're pretty much they said that they had a players only meeting, imploring him to come back, begging him to come back, basically. And there's been reports saying that you could cut. They say that he's good to go. 4-on-4, 3-on-3 drills. He looks fine. He's doing plenty of weighted workouts where he can perform. Kawhi has apparently been looking outside of the team doctors for opinions, which is insane because the Spurs have been this robot, almost the Patriots of the NBA. A well-oiled machine, Pop, Belichick. It's kind of just been, to see something like this in the Spurs organization is just so weird.
Yeah, you're right. It's absolutely weird. I don't really know what the situation is with Kawhi still. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the Derrick Rose situation when he was up with New York, and he was like, or was it? I don't know if he was in New York or Chicago.
When he was in New York, he pieced out. He left.
Right? Yeah, he went AWOL a couple times, and even when he was with Chicago too, and he was like, "I know we're in this playoff race, but I got to look for the rest of my career and make sure I'm okay. So I'm going to sit out." I think basketball players nowadays, not all of them, but a lot of them, are pansies. I think they're pansies. And they don't know how to get out there. Some of them, not all of them, some of them, and they don't know how to play through injuries. They don't know how to have just that willpower to go out there and win. That competitive aspect, that diehard Kobe characteristic, that LeBron trait is not in a lot of these top-notch players. I mean, you name the top players out there, Michael Jordan, LeBron, Kobe, they all had this killer instinct in them that no matter what they had, they were out there on the court, they're playing, they're going to win the ball game. But there's so many other superstars out there that have this pansy trait in them, this pansy characteristic where a stub toe and they're out for 9 weeks. And I think that's where Kawhi's at. Either that or he just doesn't like the Spurs and he does not want to be there. One of the two is going on.
It's weird, dude, because you bring that up because we looked his contract. He has a whole another year and a player option after next season. So it's not like he's just fed up and he wants to get out and he's just going to let the season play out, take a player option, and leave next year. He's under contract, has to be in San Antonio for a whole another year.
So what's the deal then? Is he just scared to play on his his knee?
It's a tendon in his ankle, I believe.
Ankle, yeah. So is it his ankle that he's worried about? Is it?
the coaches have come out and said he looks fine in 4-on-4 and 3-on-3 drills. I read a report said he's been doing weighted jumps, 25-pound medicine ball, jumping as high as he can and turning in the air, doing just fine. And he's going outside for outside doctors' opinions then saying, "Oh, I'm just not ready. I'm just not ready."
Or here's something else to think about: has he been paid off?
Dun dun dun.
Seriously though, him faking an injury or saying that he's getting second opinions, it's a good way to cover up the fact that he got paid off.
Could you imagine? That would be some scandal, dude.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying it happened or is happening, but it's just definitely something to think about.
If for something like this to just basically be like, I'm just not going to play, and to have your teammates, the people you sweat with, begging you to come back, a team that you've played on before, like you've had success on, like you've been named like the top 5 players in the league before with this team, in order to you just to stop.
Yeah,
that's a thought like that. A thought of you being paid off. It doesn't seem as crazy because this whole idea is crazy.
And what's even more crazy is the fact that every day it seems like the story is just like on this pendulum where he's coming back. Oh, this week he's not coming back. This week the team's begging for him to come back. Like, where is the story going? And that's what makes it so weird to me. And that's why I think stuff like him being paid off is definitely not out of the question.
It's definitely a weird situation, dude. I don't get it.
I haven't seen anything like this in any sport.
Yeah, it's weird. But hey, we reverse cursed the Spurs, so they may never lose again.
They might not.
They may not lose again because since last week when we talked about the standings, the race has only tightened. You got 4 games separating 4th place and 9th place in the West in the NBA. And
with about 13 to go, 12 to go.
With about 13 to go, Oklahoma City in 4th place. Portland in 3rd with 44 wins is only 5 games above Denver with 39.
That's crazy. It's coming down to the wire. Lakers are pretty much done. They can pretty much write their season off. I think they're 8.5 back now.
Yeah, Lakers got 31. I mean, they play the Pelicans tonight. A Pelicans a win could probably eliminate them mathematically, but it's going to be a wild finish, a sprint to the finish, a photo finish, probably NBA. Probably will come down to that very last day of the regular season to see who gets in, who gets out, at least for seeding also. Like, we might not know who's playing who until the very last game of the night. Yeah,
that's what divisional kind of playoffs, like, meaning like how it's a Western Conference playoff, how all the teams are kind of mixed together to develop a playoff seeding. And everyone playing each other, that's what makes it so exciting, though, is to see what's going to happen on the very last day of the season.
And it's important because, obviously, 4 games separate 3rd and 8th place. And obviously you don't want to be 8th or 7th because you don't want a first-round matchup against the Rockets or the Warriors.
Yeah, you pretty much get your season over already.
Yeah, so they're going to want to be playing balls to the wall into the very last basket, the very last buzzer of the regular season, because you don't want to get that first-round matchup against James Harden or Steph Curry.
Yep. It's intense right now. It's very intense. And you can say the same thing for the NHL as well. It's coming down to the final games. I think Kings have like 9 games left, 8 games left. They're 1 point out of 3rd place in the Pacific Division, find themselves in the final wild card spot. And again, all those teams are playing each other. So 1 win, 1 point is so important right now.
Every day they flip-flop. They open the day in the third spot in the Pacific, and then they end up in the wild card or end up outside because of, the Sharks winning. But the Sharks have hit a roll. I think they're on like a 5-game winning streak. Yeah, 5-game winning streak. Teams are getting hot. There's definitely no room for a slip up in any league right now, the NHL or the NBA in the Western Conference. The funny thing about the NHL, I just saw this yesterday actually. The Dallas Stars are only a few points out of the wild card race, right? They are 3 points out of the wild card, and they are on a 6-game losing streak. They could have easily been in the wild card in the Central Division race to get into like one of the top 3 spots. They've lost 6 in a row, dude. Talk about the wheels falling off at the worst moment possible.
Yeah, that's true. That's terrible.
6-game losing streak.
You know what I like about the NHL playoffs is there's always new teams in the playoffs. Like besides the Pacific, who's kind of, the Golden Knights, obviously, they're a new team.
The Pacific's like the old guard, dude. The old guys in the West Coast. You got like this Joe Thornton, Pavelski, Kopitar, Corey Perry. You know, the king, California coast.
Yeah, they pretty much locked down a playoff spot pretty much every year. Obviously, the Golden Knights are new, but new teams in the playoffs this year. The Avalanche are in there, which is cool to see. Did Winnipeg make it last year, or are they new into the playoffs this year?
Winnipeg made it last year, but they got swept in the first round, I believe, by the Ducks.
Okay, so they're not new, but they're a newer team that you don't see.
A newer team, and they're running. They're making a run at the division, dude. They're good.
They're only 8 points behind Nashville. They're only 8 points behind Nashville. Other teams that are like new to the playoffs, Florida's up there for a playoff spot. They're battling for a spot.
Jersey was awful last year. A bottom-tier team, bottom 5 in the league. They're in a wild card spot.
They're in a wild card spot. Toronto's going to make the playoffs. They didn't make the playoffs last year, did they?
They did, but they lost in the first round. I think to the Penguins, maybe. I don't know.
But they've been god awful for a long time.
Yeah, last year was the first year they've been good in a long time.
Like teams like Red Wings, they're not going to make playoffs. They've been awful these last couple of years.
Montreal, gone.
The Rangers, they were in the Stanley Cup 2 years ago or a couple of years ago. And they're not even done. Islanders made the playoffs last year.
Chicago mathematically eliminated with 3 weeks left of the season.
Chicago done. Vancouver done. Edmonton made the playoffs last year. Done.
God, dude, so many people took Edmonton to win the cup this year. I was one of them.
Did you really?
I did, yeah. I thought they had it figured out, dude. I was like, they got a couple pieces, but talk about just the problem this year. It's Connor McDavid or nothing.
That's not a good strategy. That's not. You cannot.
They're not even close to the playoffs. 69 points.
69 points. And the very last playoff spot, which is the Kings, is 87, almost 20 points higher.
Yeesh.
That's bad.
That's very bad. That's like, dude. Talk about an organization that just can never really figure it out. Last year, you think they okay, finally they're turning the corner, but the Edmonton Oilers, dude, just always just find a way to shoot themselves in the foot, man.
These next few weeks in sports is like the prime time for sports.
Dude, it's the
NBA
best.
playoffs, NHL playoffs, the start of baseball, ending of college basketball. The NFL draft is right around the corner. This is like prime time for sports, and I love it.
I love it too. Oh, I can't wait to talk next week, dude. We're going to talk baseball. We're going to talk the regular season, baseball kicking off.
We'll talk the end. We'll probably talk about the Final Four coming up.
Final Four, recheck in on the NBA and NHL playoffs. Oh, I'm so excited.
Sports fans, if you're lucky, we might have 2 episodes for you next week. Keep
an
eye out. I'm not making any promises, but we might.
Might pump out a baseball only show.
Ooh, that's not a bad idea. Should we put it in stone right now?
I'm looking at my schedule. Yeah, we should probably do that.
Thursday?
Probably do baseball. We'll pump out a baseball-only show on Thursday and then do another one later in the week, maybe on Friday or Saturday.
You heard it, sports fans. Look for that baseball opening day exclusive episode coming next week. But until then, follow us on Twitter, ITWHpod. I'm at JoeHill587.
I'm at Eric. No, I'm not at Eric. I'm _Roberts11. My brain's starting to shut down, dude. It's cold. It's kicking my ass right now.
You need to go take some NyQuil and go to bed,
I do.
Dude.
I need to. There's been some coughs. Hopefully you don't hear them. But yeah, _Roberts11. Until next week, guys. Peace out.
See you guys later and skoo.